See. There
Go
we're
for it.
live. All right, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Night's Live well here at Fish, North Georgia. We're so glad you're spending your evening with us. Got a great show in store for you guys tonight. Got a couple of hammers, some names that you definitely know, and we're going to talk fishing and wherever the conversation leads us. Again, you guys know how it works in the comment section. You got a question or you got a comment for our guest, we definitely are going to we're going to share it with you. We've already been sharing some stuff. I got them already embarrassed, but ready to go. So let me go ahead. I'm going to introduce tonight's guest, and then we will take care of our sponsors. We've got the two-time Bassmaster Classic winner, Mr. Jordan Lee. Pull that smiling face right there. There he is. Look at that. Hit that. Hey, the first time we've done this, and hit that button right there.
Add the stage.
There he is. There he is. So there you go.
Guys?
What's going on, boss? Yeah. So
appreciate y'all having me on.
We appreciate you joining us tonight. We got a lot of stuff we're going to talk to that. To my left here, we've got the boy wonder, Mr. Kaz Anderson.
What's up, everybody?
You know, right there. So two peas in the pod. They run together. And, of course, I got Mr. Grandpa Kevin Thornton right here, the best-looking man in all the internet right here beside me. And Tim, of course, is back there behind the screen pressing the buttons.
Welcome, everybody.
Go ahead and shout out your socials real quick.
So if you want to follow me, it's T_McGuire Outdoors.
That's right. That's right. So let's take care of a little bit of business here. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Click that notification bell and follow us on all our social media at Fish North Georgia. And we'll start off with our sponsor now, Option Fluoro at OptionFluoroUSA.com. Hey, guys, listen. New to the market here, especially in North Georgia. You know how we fish these herring lakes. A good quality fluorocarbon is definitely a must, and Option's in the game. If you go to OptionUSA.com, you can type in FNG, get 20% off of all your purchase. And if you hang around for about an hour, we're going to have the Option question of the week, or questions, as Kevin does them, and you can win $50 off at OptionUSA.com. So we appreciate Option. And next, we got Lipstick or Fishing. Kevin Underwood there on Lake Lanier. Guys, hey, if you want to go catch hammers, he's the one to go with right there. Check him out. You got his number again? Can you read it out? Because we ain't doing the ticker's not working tonight. So what's his number and how to get in touch with Kevin?
You can contact Kevin at lipstickerfishing.com.
Mm-hmm.
The number is 678-459-8419. I'll try to type it into one of the comments, so it'll be there. You can scroll back and find it later.
Absolutely. Again, so yeah, check him out. The guy's always on big fish. And our guys at Festive Waters off 369 down there on Lake Lanier, paddle sports kayaks. If you're into the kayak game, go check out Nathan and the guys right there. You can check them out at www.festivewaters.com and get all of your needs taken care of with that. And we also want to thank our buddy Trent Palmer with Sonar Pros. Hey, he's fishing over at the NPFL today. Watched him on their live weigh-in and everything. Trent, you know, if you want your boat done right, if you want your wire done right, you take it to Trent. That's where the pros go. By appointment only, 770-530-4505. Tell them the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you. And Turner Tire here in Jasper, Georgia. Hey, if you really want a great family atmosphere to get your tires and all that, check out Brock and the guys, 706-253, and you got the screen cut in half, so I can't read it right there. Flip that screen to hole right there. I can't read my sign behind me. There you go.
There we go.
3339 right there. So check out the guys there at Turner Tire. Tell them we sent you. And, of course, my favorite of all the sponsors, Etowah. Does he go mead first or beer first? Mead, beer, and wine. We're going to go mead, beer, and wine. Guys in Dahlonega, Georgia, hey, listen. Great family atmosphere. They do trivia on Thursday nights. Again, if you like mead, they ship all over the United States. That's the one thing about mead. You can get it anywhere you want. Tonight, we are partaking in the Psycho Blonde Ale. So, Tim, you got one. What do you think about it?
Hey, this is pretty good.
It's good
all
stuff.
The ones we've sampled, I keep finding a new favorite, and so far, this one's the one.
There you go. I like it. So, guys, hey, we're getting ready to get in this conversation. We got a crowd here tonight. Special shout out to the Hammonds boys that are here like that. So just want to say hey to them guys. I don't know if they want me to tell them, but Tim Hawkins, I've been talking trash about you. So if you're watching, just ask them. They'll tell you what I said. But anyway, you guys in the comments, hey, let's go. We're going to have some fun. So you got Mr. Lee back up. Mr. Lee, what's going on in your life right now?
Man, a lot has been going on with me. I've had a lot of life stuff going on, trying to get ready for the year as well. And, just trying to get got a couple weeks left to kind of prepare for the year. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. Trying to rebuild the house, and like I said, getting everything ready to go for the year.
Yeah. So where's your first event at?
Toledo Bend. We go back to back. Toledo Bend and Lake Fork. I'm gonna fish a Toyota Series on Lake Gunnersville. I guess 2 weeks, I think.
Right.
So I'm gonna do that one to kick the year off, get things rolling.
Yeah. So let me ask you, somebody at your level, what's it take to be prepared, like going into a season? Mentally, everything, knowing the lakes, you see the schedule. What all goes into your process?
It's kind of changed over the years. I mean, honestly, like at MLF, the last probably 4 or 5 years, I think I've only pre-practiced maybe once or twice. And I did go down to Toledo Bend just because it's been so long. I only went there for about a day, though, and just kind of a day and a quarter, rode around a little bit. But, the main thing getting ready to go is just making sure your boat, everything's lined out, your wrap, you got that scheduled, and then just kind of prepared mentally and just making sure you're ready to go. I mean, it's changed. Electronics have changed fishing so much that, you got to keep up with it too. And I didn't fish much this fall, just a little bit. The most I fished was probably at Lanier.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get back in the swing and, just get dialed in a little bit. Every time every year we get a new boat as part of, or a lot of guys do. And so you got to kind of get it tuned in the way you want it. And there's always going to be tweaks and everything. And you just want to be ready to go because we don't get many shots at a tournament. So you want to make sure you're prepared because everybody else is now.
Right. So how excited are you to be coming back over to this side of the pro ranks, to the I guess it'd be the elites is what you said, the Bassmaster elites, right?
Yeah, the Bassmaster elites. Yeah. I think I've done it for long enough now where I'm not overly excited. I'm excited to have a new opportunity, really.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to is just a new opportunity and going back to kind of where I started there in 2015. So, I only fished there for 4 years, and then it's been 5 in MLF. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a challenge for sure. Every year you always have these. I do. I have not jitters, but you don't know how the year's going to go, and that's in any sport. And you want to do well, and people are going to be watching, and this is going to be a big year for me for sure. Making the transition because you definitely get compared to, and I know that's going to happen. Going from MLF to Bassmaster, and but I'm excited about a new opportunity, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I'm sure you've put it out there before, but if you don't mind, what was the reason for you making the switch?
Yeah, there was a lot of different reasons. Probably the biggest was, the opportunity wasn't on the table, number one, until Larry Nixon retired, and it was a really quick process. I had reached out to Chase, who's the owner at Bassmaster, and we talked a couple times, and it wasn't going to be on the table until Larry Nixon decided to retire, and that kind of that opened up a door for one slot for the Legends exemption, and winning back to back, that gives me 2 Legend points, is what they call it. Right. And so, if you win an Angler of the Year or a Classic with Bassmaster, that gives you a Legend point. So if you get kicked out of the elites or you just choose to leave, that's pretty much your point that can get you back in.
Right.
But they only take 2 of those, so that wasn't on the table. And I was thinking, when he called me and said it's back on the table, and you're gonna give you the first shot because you have 2 Legend points. They really go by the book. It's not like what you'd think maybe, or what a lot of people would think is where I just had I could just go back. I mean, they go by the book. And then after that, it was like, okay, where am I going to be the happiest, enjoyment wise of,
oh yeah, for sure.
you know, how many fish you catch a day. The format was a part of it.
Yeah, that was
And
going to be one of my questions. Do you like the 5 fish? You like the weigh in, the old school way, better than just how many fish you catch?
Well, I had fun this year. You know, we went to 5 fish this year, and I had a part of that. Just I wanted to see what the anglers wanted to do. Last year at MLF, and we you know we did a lot of work in the off year and try to convince them that, hey, this is what we want to do as anglers. And we did convince them. And then the fans had a vote that was 50-50. I'm not going to go on all that, but I enjoyed last year at MLF. But the fans is definitely a big part.
Yeah.
You know, not having the fans there, and that's been tough, man. That's been the toughest part because I've seen. I mean, I won, you know, that classic in 2017 in Minute Maid Park. I mean, where the Astros play, and you know, thousands of people there, and it makes you feel like a professional. You know, it makes you feel like you're at the top level. You know, and there's just something in your mind. It gives you not really maybe an ego thing, but it is. It feels like you're a part of something that's bigger. And in MLF, it wasn't like that, and that was tough. Like when you'd win an event and there wasn't people there because there was no stage, there wasn't a weigh-in. Yeah, the money was cool, but that only goes so far, and you want to just have fun for your family. Like, I mean, going back to the classics, because that's what people know me as, but the most enjoyment I had out of that was having my family there, having Kristen's family there, and just being a part of something that's just bigger than you know, and that's what I miss, and that's what I'm excited about going forward, probably the most.
I got you. We've already had somebody ask, where is Kaz? So let's put Kaz's beautiful face up there. Put Kaz right there. So we got you two good-looking guys right there together. You guys are buddies. I asked Kaz, you know, tell me a little bit about when you met Jordan. I asked it already, but tell everybody.
We met at Chattooga in the Angler of the Year Championship, I'm pretty sure, in a parking lot. You know, it was our small town, you know, huge tournament with all kinds of professionals were coming to town. So me and a bunch of my buddies would get together and we'd drive around town looking for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, we stumbled upon Jordan when practice was starting and stopped and talked. And then we'd coast through the parking lots every week and just talk and hang out with people. And that was just the coolest thing ever for us.
Oh, I bet.
We were all eat up with fishing. And then I guess we just became friends and have been buds ever since. And we fished 4 or 5 times together now.
Yeah, now you guys recently fished a Scott Barnes tournament together.
Yeah, we did.
And so, you know, I'll let you go first since you haven't done as much talking. Tell everybody a little bit about Lake Lanier and what a special lake it is, and then I want Jordan's thoughts on Lake Lanier.
Yeah, well, I've been blessed to grow up in this area my entire life, and there's a lot of just amazing places around here. And from traveling all over the country the last 5 or 6 years of fishing, and you don't see places like Lanier. You don't. And I mean, you can go any time of the year and catch 4 to 5, 6 world-class spotted bass fishing is an understatement.
Yeah.
And it has so much more than what you see every weekend on your tournaments with all the spotted bass. It has so much more than that to offer. I mean, it's got 2 of the best rivers coming into it that you could ever fish, from the Chattahoochee and the Chestatee. Mm-hmm. You can go as far up those rivers and find all different species of fish that you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And, you know, there's so much to offer in this area, but Lanier is just truly something special.
Yeah. And how much weight did you two guys have that day?
Almost 23 pounds.
Almost 23 pounds. All right. So, Jordan, 23 pounds coming to weigh in. Probably felt pretty good about yourself. What did y'all end up finishing in that tournament? Do you remember?
We finished in 3rd, didn't we, Kaz? Yeah,
third.
What won it?
24. But, like, at the end of the day, we made our last cull. Yeah. And, like, we knew it was crazy. But, like, we'll have to tell the story about the day of how it went down.
Tell it. Let's go.
The day started off by doubling up with a 470 and a 511 on like the first 2 casts. I hooked one and we netted it, and like simultaneously he hooked a 511. We got it in the boat, and we're like, okay, this is about to go down.
Right.
Then I think we left that spot with like 17 pounds on 4, then drove all over the place and Jordan caught a 3-pounder. It got us like 19, went back to the same spot, caught like a 4.5, had 21 pounds by 9, and then toted that around all day. And I mean, yeah, it's a good bag of fish, but I mean, we were kind of disgusted because we knew we were going to get smoked if we only had 21 pounds. And
right.
Then, caught one more real big one at the end of the day to cull up to our scale said 2290, and we ended up having like 2295 or something. But we looked at each other and we were like, like as good as this has been, probably not going to win.
So you kind of knew it going in.
Yeah, we probably kind of knew, like, we had a good chance, but it probably wasn't going to happen.
Right.
As good as they were biting.
So what did you think about that day, Jordan?
What was it? What was my time over there at Lanier? What was probably the most interesting thing that I don't see a lot growing up here on Smith, which is just not a great lake compared to Lanier. Spotted bass are in it, but 15 pounds is a good catch. But what was cool about Lanier was how we caught a lot of those fish shallow, less than 8 foot of water, and the water was not like muddy or off color, and those fish would be up there really shallow. I guess they're eating crawdads, and that's something that you don't see in a lot of places that are clear lakes like that, where you catch them, especially spots where you catch them shallower. Most of the time those fish are out suspended, and there was fish out there suspended too. But the bigger ones, were coming shallow, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, we caught some on a crankbait, Nico rig. I caught that big one on a jig. And I can't tell you last time I caught a big spot on a jig, and I caught a couple over 5 that week on a jig. That was a lot of fun. So something a little different.
It is different. And one thing we've noticed with our guests and people that we've talked to this year, normally Lanier is known for its ditch bite, and everybody talks about the ditches. But this year, and we don't know whether it's because the water was down or whatever, but a lot of fish have stayed shallow all winter long.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is, but over the past 3 weeks, in a lot of tournaments, I hear constantly 15 foot or less, 15 foot or less with these spots. So
yeah,
that is what makes Lanier a little bit different. I had a question for you from Alan Pruitt. Let's see, pull that thing up right there. What do you look for to be able to find 4.5 to 5 pound fish? Jordan, we'll start off with you. Like, if you're looking for that, what's your go-to? What are you looking for?
I mean, if it's on, I don't know if we're talking about Lanier or just any.
Yeah, we probably so around here. Yeah.
Just talking about Lanier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, that lake is different because there is a lot of those 4.5 to 5 pound fish. And I think it's just about probably more than anything what depth you're in, the time of year you're out there. But you don't really know, like, hey, I'm going to catch a 5 pounder right here. But you go to maybe a really, place where there's a lot of fish, and you're going through numbers of fish. That's what it seems like out there. It doesn't matter if it's shallower or deeper. But I definitely think, just getting around the right type of stuff that they're on. That's a pretty generic answer, but it's the truth. That's the spot that we pulled up. I had seen a bigger fish, or I caught a bigger fish the day before, and there was a lot of fish in the area. So, that you always start, or you always want to, and early too, early in the morning, first couple hours, typically that low light, man, that's your best time a lot of times to catch a big fish. From what I've seen on a lot of lakes is like that.
Right. Yeah, I know in the electric series, 23.5 pounds won, electric only tournament out of Baldridge. 22.5 was the second place bag. Every one of their fish they weighed in was caught by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So kind of like what he's saying in the low hours. Now you fish low light hours, but you fish Lanier a lot. So you know it well. You answer that question. I'm going to look for 4.5, 5 pound fish. What's Kaz Anderson looking for?
This time of year, it's definitely those big spots love herring and they love crawfish just the same. And I think there's a big population of those fish that are that eat, there's a population of 4.5, 5, 6 pounders that eat herring, and same with crawfish. I've always felt like I caught bigger ones shallow more times than not. But I think like if you day in and day out, your biggest ones are going to come shallow. And I feel like Lanier has so many fish and they have so much timber and habitat out there deep that a lot of those fish go out off the bank to escape the pressure, and they get out there and eat bait. And it's really hard to weave through those, 3.5 pounders to get to those big ones.
Right.
And I mean, you can go out in the ditches for the last few years when I've been there, and I don't know if I've caught a fish that's weighed 5 pounds deeper than 15 feet in the last 2 years on Lanier.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless it's topwater season, of course, but this time of year when most of the tournaments are being held, everything seems to be shallow. Those big ones, if you want to win the tournament, it's coming shallow.
See, that's interesting you say that, because everybody that's talked ditch fishing this year has said that, yeah, there are fish in the ditches, but they're the smaller fish.
Yeah, I mean,
2.5, something like that.
Yeah, 4 pounder in the ditch is about as big as it gets for me. And like, I mean, that's definitely like, I hate that it sounds so cliche, because people talk about fishing on Lanier, they talk about ditches or they talk about rocks, and it's such a good lake, you can catch them any way you want to. And we're kidding ourselves if we think that's the only ways to catch a bass, but it definitely is the two best patterns for sure. But if I had to catch big ones, shallow, big rocks, the sun hits it and warms it up, those fish will slide up and eat those crawfish.
Yeah.
And I think probably the moon's got something to do with the crawfish acting right and stuff like that, but I'm not smart enough.
No, I'm not either.
Not.
That's why I rely on guys like you. Let's see. We got a question for Jordan. If you had to fish one bait from here on out on Lanier, what would it be? Now, that's kind of a big question, because that's it changes with the season.
Yeah.
Let's say you're going tomorrow.
I don't fish there enough, but to know. But honestly, I mean, if you wanted a tournament bait, man, that's tough. I would probably, I mean, in the summertime, it's going to be a topwater for sure. This time of year, it would have to be probably that power switch. I mean, I was out there, and just as far as numbers go, it's just a new bait from Berkeley, and it's basically like a Demiki rig, is what it is, but it's built over the head. That bait probably would be my go-to this time of year.
Okay.
Just going out and catching fish.
What about you, Cass?
I mean, something like a Magnum hit worm is hard to beat, and general on some kind of Nico rig is popular. A tube is something else that I've fished out there the last few times. It's kind of slept on, the Max Scent tube.
Okay.
And like you said, the power switch is awesome as well. But that tube mimics a crawfish pretty good. You can toss it up there on those rocks. I've been playing with that thing a little bit lately. And
you and I are going to have to talk about that then. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Connor here wants to know what color jig, if you don't mind sharing. And I assume he's talking about, you said you caught one on the jig, Jordan. Do you mind sharing the color?
Yeah, I was catching some on a jig. It was a little round rubber. It was brown. Had brown and some green pumpkin in it. Just pretty standard. Little 3-inch, just a little 3-inch crawl trailer on it.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty standard stuff. I mean, you cannot go wrong with a brown green pumpkin mix. I mean, ever. I mean,
I got you.
It's like my go-to.
Yeah, definitely just a natural color. Natural color.
Yeah.
Crazy. Pull up Shop Life's comment right there. And Jordan, I don't know if you can see the comments on this section. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So Shop Life, number one, I haven't seen that name here before. Glad you're joining us. I'm in North Carolina. Currently, people are trying to kill all the spotted bass in a certain lake. Biggest problem I see is they're killing the big ones that have the genetics. Did y'all go through this at Lanier? I would say no, because Lanier is kind of a different animal. There are certain lakes up here in North Georgia, like Blue Ridge, that had smallmouth bass in it. That was basically the only lake in Georgia that had a real sizable population of smallmouth. The spots have gotten in there, kind of taken over it a little bit, and you get the mean mouth hybrid kind of. But that's one lake where I think they kind of wish the spots right up. But Lanier, I mean, you'd never heard of that, Kaz?
No,
have you? Yeah, Lanier's a different beast.
Where he's probably at in North Carolina, I don't know, but there's a lake called Appalachia Lake.
I've heard about it. Yeah,
I mean, it's got magnum smallmouth in it, and every spot I catch out of there, it's going in the grease.
Yeah,
but I mean, just because people turn them loose in there for what reason, I don't know. I love spotted bass, but smallmouth this far south that are big and built and pretty, few and far between.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's probably what he's experiencing.
Okay.
Spotted bass are great, but some lakes are better for them than others.
Absolutely. All right, Lanier Bass, and what are you targeting, clay banks or rocks? What would be your main focus when going shallow? Jordan, I'll let you start with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I just think anywhere you got deep water, pretty close to rocks. I mean, and they're not like bluffs, more like that. It seems like that broken rock, and you're just covering water. You're just pulling up probably where you got a little wind blowing too is going to help. If you get those windy days like you do out there, and you're just covering water, and cranking and it's little points with some rocks outsides of points, just anything that looks different. But it's not all the same. Like, that's what I've noticed just going around, like, all over the country, really. But, I mean, especially on Lanier, like, just looking for something a little bit different, and then just hitting as many places as you can. And that's really just the key. But just that broken rock, and transitions, little transitions between, like he said, clay or sand, and then you got some rock. I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for.
Okay, I got you like that. What about you, Cass?
Mostly the same thing. Clay, I've always heard that clay and rock heat up, faster than anything else, and it depends. I've heard that in the wintertime, rock heats up quicker than red clay, and in the springtime, red clay heats up quicker than rock. I don't know if necessarily that's true, but both of them seem to serve a pretty good purpose. But I know if you're trying to fish for those fish that are up shallow, the rock is important because those crawfish will hide in those rocks.
Yeah.
It's just extra habitat for what they're trying to eat, and the bass know where to go find some food. So.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you guys keep the questions coming. I missed a question earlier, Jordan. You and I have I guess kind of like a mutual friend and a man named Slick Johnson. And somebody asked me to ask you about Slick, and that was all the question was. So I guess, are you part of the Alabama Bass Council? Are you in that group?
I think I'm an associate of the Alabama Bass Council. I mean, I had to take off my hat for that. But, yeah, I'm an associate of the Alabama Bass Council. But, yeah, I claim those boys. They're good people. I've known them for a long time. But
did you see the rap video that Slick put out, though?
Listen, I've heard about the rap video. I haven't seen it. I have not been on TikTok today, but I will hear about it, I'm sure. He's listen, I created this monster. We went fishing last year. Well, it'd be 2 years ago now. The year before last, we went to Champlain together, and he's always talking about TikTok. I was like, here, I'll just make you a TikTok. So I made him a TikTok, and I'm like, this is how you post your videos and whatever. So I created the monster, and I hate to admit that, but yeah. So
we know who to blame now.
Yeah, you know who to blame for all these rap videos and Floyd buckets and everything else you hear from coming from his mouth.
He's a good guy. I met him down at ICAST last year. So
yeah,
he's definitely a good guy. And also too, I had another guy before the show told me to ask you about your Zen trip. I believe you made a video where you ran out of some Zen or something like that, and you had to call Slick up for backup there.
Backup. Listen, if you ever need anything, he's the number one person to call. Either he's going to be on the lake nearby, but he'll drive it to you. I mean, or he's going to have whatever you need. And when it comes to Zen and nicotine, he's got it. So if you run out, and let's say you're on Wheeler or Gunnersville, and you need some, you just message him. You just make a TikTok. He'll come find you.
So he's your hookup. He's your hookup.
Yeah.
I got to get him on the show. He's your dealer, Slick Johnson, the dealer right there. So that's awesome. Yeah. So let's check out the comment. And if you guys back here in the the crowd got any questions, you make sure you let me know, and I'll ask them. Kevin, you too. You look like you're studying intently.
I'm reading the questions.
You're reading the questions over there. So Kevin is alive over here, though. It's not a weekend at Bernie's thing. You are.
No, I did have one question, and somebody else I almost asked the same thing, but seems like the pros are going to more finesse baits, up in their game a little bit with the finesse baits over the power. How do you fit into that?
Damn, that was like a legit question.
Yeah, that's a good
That was like an intelligent question.
I'm
right
like
there.
totally impressed.
I'm
with
impressed with that.
Is that not impressive?
Like, that's intelligent.
You see what I put up with?
Yeah, he brings
I
some
feel bad for you.
some to it.
They pick
Yeah.
on the old guys. That's what they do.
Kevin is our new wingman. That's his new nickname. It's Kevin the
because he
wingman.
brings us chicken every Thursday right there. So, all right, Father Time, good question. All right, how do you answer that?
Kevin, I can tell he's a good dude.
He is.
The deal with the finesse stuff now is just live scope, active target. You're putting it on fish every cast. That's why you're seeing it dominate. And the finesse minnow type deal that you're seeing on all these tournaments it doesn't matter if that fish is 8 pounds or 2 pounds. That's the best shot you have at catching that fish. You could pick up a big swim bait, or you could pick up, a big jig or whatever. And yeah, you're going to get bit, but they'll also bite that smaller offering too. And I think it's just about getting bites and more people fishing now. And I think it's just really the trend right now. I don't know if it's going to change for a while, because a lot of these fish live in open water year round on a lot of these lakes, and putting that finesse offering little minnow in front of their heads. It's the trend right now. That's what's working all over the country. So it just catches all, the giants and the small ones. So it's hard not to throw.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
Yeah.
good. It's just there. All right, so let's go ahead, since you brought up forward facing sonar, and get this whole question out of the way, because I ask everybody. Here we go. Where do you stand on it? Are you a Milliken or you're a Blocket?
I'm
What a way to terminology.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
Is
these
that the
days.
new terminology?
You're a Milliken or you're a Blocket?
Yeah, I'm my best tournaments have been old school. I did win one this past year at St. Clair using it solely, but before that, I really didn't ever. I went a couple years without winning a tournament, but you just got to embrace it, man. When you're a pro angler, and you got to be like, look, I'm either going to get my brains beat in every tournament if I don't, learn this and am good and really efficient and good with it, or you can turn it off, and man, it's going to be you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
But there is times now where, and it's not just, it's people think you just turn it on and you go out there and whack them. I went today and was playing with it on Gunnersville, and man, there's so much grass, and those fish hide in the grass, and you don't just automatically catch fish.
Right.
You just got to know when to move too, and you'll sit in places too long, and you'll get to just staring at it, and you don't even know where you're at. It can hurt you for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I know some good anglers that were really great, and then they got it, and it seems like their tournament weights are down because they started relying on it, and they got neck problems now and everything. So what about you, Kaz? You a Milliken or you a Blocket?
I support it. I'm all for it. Now, I do think like it's crazy like what it's come to, but is to compete. The bottom line is you got to have it, embrace it. And it's I compare it. Do you want to ride a horse and buggy to work every day? No. But,
that's right.
You could, but do you want to? Absolutely not. So, you got to have the best stuff to be able to compete. And are you going to win every tournament because you got 6 transducers on your boat? Absolutely not. But it sure is fun watching one bite on that stuff nowadays. Is. And you got to succeed, you got to know when to not look at it and when to look at it. And there's always times that can help you more than others. But I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And I mean, super controversial thing to talk about, but I don't think it's all.
I think it's more clickbait than it is anything. It's
It 100% is.
So
I mean, everybody.
It's the most frustrating video game I've ever played in my entire life.
It is, yeah. But it's like that. It's like somebody can put it out, and that's how they're getting views on YouTube and stuff like that. You know, so I get it. I think personally, like I said, I've seen guys that once they got it, they actually did not fish as good because they quit relying on their natural instincts. And then I've seen some guys that got it and it helped them up their game.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to do it. And I mean, I don't know. It truly, to me, there's different types of fishermen that are just really good with that stuff. And I mean, some people, it truly is like amazing how good they can be with that technology.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people are just average with it, and it's not like it's the same for everybody. You can have the baddest setup in the world, your graph and transducer and everything, wiring costs you, up to 10 grand. And then the guy that has the 9-inch screen with, not much going on, you can whoop that next guy that's got that big fancy setup. It's all in how you use it. So.
Well, that's right. And then you didn't need it for that big one at Notley when you and I went.
Yeah, I had that little bitty graph, and I was flipped under a dock and caught.
You flipped under a dock. Remember, you were swimming. Yeah. Actually, you were reeling in, and they followed you out. And
I forgot about that fish. That was cool.
I remember you were like, "Oh, it's a big one."
Yeah,
he's going all around the boat.
It watched it eat it right at the bottom.
They listen cool. Like he was like a little girl. He hooked this fish though. But it was just under 7, or right around 7.
Yeah, it was a big one.
It was a big one.
Yeah,
you were pulling that jig out from the dock. Guys in the comment section, listen. We get to talking. I know a lot of you guys got questions. If I miss your question, type it again because it's really hard for Tim to go back and forth. So the one I see right now, Evan, I think it's Evan Furlan. I can't see that. But anyway, what's the best way to approach these spots now that the water's warming up?
They're moving to spawn here in a month or two.
Yeah.
They'll be thinking about moving to spawn and spotted bass, they'll spawn on the bank with largemouth and everything like that. But a lot of the best spotted bass spawns are like on, clay and pea gravel and sand and just any hard bottom. They'll spawn around it, and they love to spawn on points. They'll spawn in them brush piles that are 15 foot and less. The big ones, Lanier's so clear, light penetrates so deep, so their eggs can survive super deep. So they'll spawn as deep as 10, 12, 15 feet sometimes. So, I mean, you can get out there and find a group of them spawning on points, and you'll smoke them, just reeling something across those points. You'll catch them. They'll have eggs dripping out of them. One of the best days I ever had on Lanier was in April. It was snowing, and you'd throw up there and catch a male that had red eyes, and he'd be peeing everywhere. You'd throw back out there in the same spot and catch a 4 or 5 pounder, and the eggs oozing everywhere. It was cool.
Spots are different than largemouth because they're still pissed off fish when they're spawning. They'll hit. You get it within 15 foot of them sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to hit that. Jordan, let me ask you this because you mentioned Smith Lake, and you guys got spots out there, I assume. That's a spotted bass lake, just not to the caliber. But I've often wondered because, I hunt. I don't know. Do you hunt?
A little bit, not much anymore, but I have in the past.
Okay, so I always find it crazy that in here, the rut in Georgia is generally November, but I've got a buddy, the rut in Alabama kicks off a lot later. So what about spawning fish? When they normally spawn in Georgia, is Alabama about the same time, or do we have those differences?
Yeah, it's about the same. I mean, April's probably the prime month, I would say April's the month for the spawn. Early April, late March, that's kind of when it really late March is really around here. It's when that first big wave comes up on all these lakes. Gotcha.
Okay. Let's see. Question for Jordan. Have you tried any new baits that just came out? And I assume Berkeley's got plenty of them. I assume you've tried those.
I have. Yeah. I'm always trying new baits, man. I mean.
So what about the Credge? Everybody's talking about it around here. And what was the other one?
The Finisher.
The Finisher.
Yeah, the Credge is going to be cool on Lanier. I think it's going to be in everybody's tackle box over there for a couple different reasons. But, when it's a surface – I mean, it's not just a surface bait, but it is a great surface bait. And you can cast it so far. I know Kaz has done really well on it over there. And, it's just something different too. It's a little bit bigger, that perfect size for those. I say a little bit bigger. It's just it's not a tiny bait. It's not like a 2-inch bait. but you can cast this thing over for schooling fish, and it's just a subtle bait. And if those fish aren't really committing to coming up, you can sink it down to them. So that's why I think it's going to be key, and then call them up. So it's just a different deal that I think for brush piles, it's gonna be in everybody's boat, just because it's just something totally different than anything else.
Yeah, it's a neat little thing. Now, of the two, the finisher, the Credge, which one have you thrown the most of so far?
I've definitely thrown the Credge more. They both got a place for sure. The Credge is my favorite. That thing's awesome. It catches them. Yeah, it really does. So
I was curious, though, last week we had Paul Driscoll on, and he said something about how it goes backwards as it sinks.
Yeah.
But he made the comment to us, have you ever seen a bait fish swim backwards?
Yeah.
Which kind of, piqued their interest a little bit, but what does that action with that bait? How do you think that, triggers the fish?
Well, I mean,
what's it mimicking?
Well, I mean, and it definitely works because, a flutter spoon does the exact same thing as a Credge. It falls backwards, and fish bite a flutter spoon as it falls. They have for years and years. So I think it doesn't matter what a bait fish does. The thing is, when you burn that thing away from one and he's keyed in on it and it stops and just sits still, he's got to keep coming and study it and then eat it. If you stop it and it falls back in his face, the fish doesn't have hands to swat it out of his face, so he's got no reaction other than to eat it. So you pause it and he's hot on it and it falls back in his face, 90% of the time he's going to smoke it, especially if he's got a lot of competition. I think it's a way better way to get him to eat than a bait that just stops. And the way that it comes up to the surface, because, a bait fish, bass come underneath them and push up for a reason, and that's their optimal. They can pin them against the surface, where if they're chasing them straight, the fish has the whole lake to get away from that bass, but the Credge comes upwards, so they chase it and pin it against the surface, and the fish feels like it has an advantage. So it's super natural. And when you stop it, that shimmy back right in its grill, he'll just smoke it. So I think it's perfect, and it catches a lot of them.
All right, that's good. I pull up Jonathan Farmer. What's the next question? So
let's get Farmer.
How long do you give a pattern? Jordan, you can answer this. And how long do you give a pattern that you have found in practice, and say the weather changed the next day? How long do you scrap it, start over from there? So you went out one day, you established a pattern, but the next day the weather's totally different.
Well, typically the weather won't really. I say it won't affect it. Whatever the fish are doing that week, it'll change. Could change from rain, or it could change from wind, just not being able to fish a place good. But if the fish in a lake are doing like what they're doing, you can't really change like maybe totally. There's times when, like, if it's slick calm in the spring and you were catching them with a little wind, and maybe it changes to a little boat dog bite or something, like, that it can change like that, but it's all just, that's all part of the decisions you make during. There's been plenty of tournaments where I've scrapped it all and done something totally different, and it worked, or it didn't work. But there's not really a time limit I set on it. I'm just like, pull up. If I think I know what they're doing and I'm not seeing what I want to see pretty quick, 15, 20 minutes on a spot, it's time to go. So, yeah, I don't really give a place too long in the tournament if I'm not seeing much and, I don't have the results. So, you don't, if they're there and you got live scope and active target now, and you're not seeing a whole lot, or things just don't feel right, I'm out. I'm moving on, and because they're always biting somewhere. That's what I say. They're always biting somewhere.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: I know a lot of guys on Lanier, and Kaz, you can answer this too, are running gunners. Come up to a brush pile, 2 or 3 casts, or even just drop the forward facing sonar, don't see what they want, and they're going to the next spot. So do you do that, or do you give the area a little more time?
I've ran for more fish than I've caught. Now I've ran. I've left a lot of fish in plenty of tournaments. Now I'm a little bit more. I guess I can kind of feel it a little bit better, but I'm not going to just completely leave. In the first little while, I mean, right off the giddy. But in the summertime and different times like that, or you're talking about Lanier, it is a run and gun lake because you catch one of those fish, it pulls the school, the spot's done. And a lot of the lakes in the States, it's not like that. I mean, you catch a fish, whatever. I mean, hopefully you throw back in there and catch another one. But Lanier and those spotted bass lakes, man, they're notorious for one and done. And so it's different out there.
It is. What about you, Kaz?
Same thing. I mean, that all just depends on the lake. And in an area like Florida, most of the tournaments that you're doing good in, you don't pick the trolling motor up majority of the day. And just because those fish have a tendency to move into an area that you're fishing if you're in somewhere productive. And like he said, you're able to – now there's so much technology, you can tell when you're in a good area that has some fish and there's bait moving around, and you can tell when you're in a fishy zone. Then you'll stay and try to figure out a way to make them bite, and if they're there. And but on a lake like Lanier, it's especially in the summertime, it's one cast, and if I've dropped the trolling motor, I won't even pick a rod up and throw at all until I see what I'm looking for. And if I don't see what I'm looking, it could be the best looking brush pile on the lake, and if you don't see them primed sitting over it, it's not even.
You're not seeing them blinker fish like Driscoll says. You don't see them blinkers. Now let me ask you: the Chatoog fish like that? Do you approach Chatoog the same way?
Same way.
Same way.
Yeah. Every lake that is spotted bass with cane or brush, and even this time of year on Chatoog and Lanier, most of the time, if I don't see a fish on my graph, I'm not casting.
You're not wasting no time with it.
No, I'll drop the trolling motor, troll around troll motor on 10 as fast as I can. If I'm not seeing what I like, I'll dip.
Yeah, you were fast on that trolling motor when we went. I remember that. You were boogieing, baby.
Yeah, I have a lead foot.
You have a lead foot.
I kill some batteries.
Are you like that?
Bad.
Are you like that, Jordan? I mean, when you got your trolling motor on, is it on 10 like Kaz?
I mean, when I'm what they call it, when you're scoping, when you're scoping, yeah, it is because you're. But I mean, those lakes are totally different. I mean, a lot of times around here, no. I mean, but I catch myself obviously going way too fast and pulling up on a fish. And, the further you're away from that fish, the better chance you got to catch. So, I mean, honestly, going on 10 is probably not the smartest, but yeah, I mean, I catch myself a lot going way too fast.
Right. Oh, I got it.
You're trolling and you only have so much time, and before you know it, you turn and there's one at 40 foot, and it's about too late. So
run all over.
Yeah,
I got you.
It's a bit of a self-control thing.
I got you.
Man needs to don't tone it down.
Pull me up another question, and guys, while he's pulling up the next question, in about 10 minutes, we'll do the OpsonUSA.com question of the week, or questions, because I know Kevin's going to have like this 3, 4, 5-part answer.
There was a question earlier about
a
sandwich. Cass, something about a sandwich. Jordan ate your sandwich, throw your sandwich off board. What's up with that?
What's up with the sandwich?
Yeah, tell them
about the sandwich.
So we're fishing in the tournament, and my dad packed my lunch that morning. He made me a sandwich while I was hooking my boat up. It was a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Pop's sandwich is pretty plain Jane. Ham and bread. It's not too luxurious, but I mean it'll make a turd, as they say. Well,
okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm out there fishing this spot, and Jordan sits down to take a lunch break and digs in the cooler. And I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, and I see him grab a sandwich that looks just like mine. And he's sitting there, and he looks at it, and I sit down. I'm about to take off. We're going to eat while we run. And he just tosses the sandwich overboard, and he's sitting there, and I see him looking at it, and he turns and looks and goes, "Was that your sandwich?" I said, "Yeah." Believe it was.
What was wrong with Jordan? What was wrong with the sandwich?
He goes, "I ain't eating that crap."
What was wrong with the sandwich?
So my wife made me a sandwich, okay, and I just thought, so I didn't really know, okay, I didn't know if Cass had a sandwich too, but I like most people, I like either some mustard or some mayonnaise. I don't care.
Was it dry?
So I opened up this sandwich, and it had a piece of bread and some ham on it. It had no mayonnaise, no mustard. I opened this up, and I'm like, I ain't eating that, and just chunked it.
You didn't think your wife was mad at you or something? That sandwich, you thought she was mad, baby?
Like, I ain't eating it. It's like I mean, there's no point. It doesn't have any mustard or mayonnaise on it. I'm not eating that. I mean,
All right, so
Did you feel bad for your homeboy? Did you
we
share your
laughed.
sandwich with him?
We laughed really hard there for a minute,
yeah,
and
I
that
said,
was
did I
like,
throw away your sandwich? He goes, yeah, it was my sandwich.
Listen, we got to get your dad to
like,
step
dude,
up the sandwich game.
yeah.
I was like,
I
dude,
told
I'm
him
so
that
sorry. I was like, you can
Yeah.
have my sandwich. He didn't want my sandwich, but yeah, he was probably starving.
So your dad like makes a dry sandwich. What's up with that?
I mean, it's just in a pinch. I mean, I was late.
Was he that busy? He
borrowed
couldn't
time.
throw some
It was
mayo
5
on
o'clock
it?
in the
Shit.
morning. I don't know. I wasn't complaining. If I made one, it probably wasn't going to be too much.
I mean, it was the thought that counts, okay?
It
Yeah.
was, and then right.
In the heat,
Did you think that when you stone it overboard?
I tell you, his thought process is most of the time I don't eat it anyways.
Yeah.
So it's better to just put ham and bread on it than just waste.
He wasn't gonna give you the good stuff because
He didn't know your buddy was going to accidentally get a hold of it. And go, good God, this poor man trying to
so
eat.
You
let-
can make more if you don't put all kinds of stuff on. And if I left, I've got a bad habit of leaving stuff in my boat. If I left mayonnaise and all kinds of stuff in there, that'd be disgusting.
I got you. But what we've learned by this is the lesson that Jordan Lee likes a bougie sandwich.
Yeah, I mean,
He don't like no dry
I like
sandwich.
Hey, I like mustard on my sandwich. I mean,
You need some sort of bonding agent between
You gotta
whatever
have
you
some-
put
Need
on
a
that
bonding
bread. I
agent.
mean,
And if y'all
Yeah.
don't have a bonding agent and you look at this sandwich, you're gonna be like, I could just wait till 3 o'clock.
I get it. Basically, what you're
No,
saying is my ass would rather starve than eat that dry ass sandwich. That's what he's saying right there. Like, I ain't eating that crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It definitely didn't look the best. But
Okay, so
I didn't harp on Dad because he made me a sandwich.
So-
So like,
so-
I would own up and say that it wasn't a 5-star sandwich.
yeah, so we're not going to be
It
saying
wasn't 2
Anderson sandwich shop is not going to open up anytime soon.
No.
Okay, I
No,
got you.
no.
That. That's funny.
Yep.
So that's the kind of stuff though you get to share though when you fish with people that you like, and
Yeah.
you get your shit thrown overboard. And all that.
We were dying. I mean, it was hilarious.
I
I mean,
got
we
you.
had plenty of snacks. It ain't like we were going hungry. It was just funny.
Let me ask you this, Jordan. What does Jordan Lee eat fishing a tournament? What's your go-to snack?
I mean, dude, most of the time I'm struggling if my wife doesn't pack me something. Today I ate a pack of, I went fishing today. I ate a pack of peanut butter crackers. I think I gave 2 of the crackers to my dog. And then I had a pack of peanuts in the boat, and I gave her some peanuts too. So we share, me
I
and
get
Steve,
it.
we share. So
I get
that's
it.
what I had today. So not much. Most of the time you don't pack anything. I like a sandwich though. I'll eat a sandwich. But
We brought deer sausage that day. That's what we ate majority of the day.
That's-
Deer
yeah,
sauce.
that's-
Oh yeah,
that's money.
that stuff's ridiculously good.
Yeah, it
That's
was
money.
Yeah,
a whole lot better than that
Listen,
sandwich.
next time
wasn't it?
Jordan comes over to Lanier, let me know, and I'll make sure the man's got a sandwich.
Yeah,
I will make sure he's fed right there. So
I'll take
pull up
the
the
deer
next-
sausage.
yeah, deer. I got that too. Question for both: when targeting those big spots in 1 to 15 foot this time of year, March, is it more contour pattern or something you see on the bank with your eyes? Whichever one of you guys want to jump on that one.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. You want some steep contours. Lanier, I think a lot of the times those fish hang out in that timber during the heat of the day. Sometimes they'll hang out in that deep water, and when the time's right to feed, they'll pull up and eat, So I think that's pretty important to know, like places where they pull up and eat and feed. And I think, he can attest it's the same on the Tennessee River. Those fish will slide up and position and bite whenever it's time to go. But you can definitely, you can see the right contours, but you look on the bank and you see good rock and versus, just a straight clay bank, you see good rock coming in the water. That's going to be one of your higher percentage places.
Okay, that makes sense. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I think probably. If I was going out there, I'm looking. I'm gonna try a little bit of everything. I'm gonna try those flat points that run way out, start out there on the end of it, and then I'm gonna try some steeper ones that you're sitting in 20, throw into the bank, and just trying a little bit of both and seeing kind of what they're on. But I know every week, typically, or every couple of weeks is different, but
Right.
you're just covering a lot of water. That's always the key, but I think more of a contour pattern probably than it is really what you see with your eye.
Okay. Jordan, can you talk about strolling for bass on Gunnersville? I don't know what the hell that means, but yeah, whatever that is.
Hover
Yeah,
strolling,
I mean,
maybe?
I guess you're talking about strolling a big plug. I mean, where you long line it. I mean, that's
Strolling.
yeah.
Strolling, is that the fancy term for it now?
It was good in its heyday. I mean, you can probably still catch fish doing it. Yeah, strolling's when you just take a big crankbait and you let all your line out and you got, I mean, 100,000 yards of line out there, it seems like, and getting it down deep and pulling across the school. The thing about Gunnersville is, though, you don't really have to do it because those schools really aren't too big. Like Kentucky, when we used to go to Kentucky and Pickwick, and those schools set up really for a long time out there on those underwater islands and stuff. I mean, and I know Douglas is popular still, but yeah, it's not really a thing. It may be as much as it used to be.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Makes sense. Cass, why do you call a big fish Becky?
I've seen that.
Some guy asked a question.
Where'd it go?
Ask Cass. Max Wilson wants to know. Ask Cass to explain why he calls a big fish Becky.
Tell us.
Is there a hidden story? Is that a big girl from school or something, or what? Huh?
Yeah.
Give me that Becky.
Give me that Becky, baby.
He's got that look like he did when we first walked in and we asked him something. We ain't gonna talk about.
We ain't gonna talk about that.
Dumbfounded. He's just trying
His
to
grandma might be watching.
I'm not dumbfounded, but it's
Is that something we can't talk about?
He is strategically right now trying to figure out how to answer this question.
I will say, Becky is a person, and when you hook one and it's large, I got Becky.
Oh.
So that's all it is. It's just, I mean, a big fish is Becky.
Kaz, I like big girls.
But there's a lot of people named Becky that are small. So I mean, it's not a stereotype.
But this is plump Becky. This is plump Becky.
This is plump Becky.
This is thick.
Hey, nothing wrong. Yeah,
whatever
no
you
shade,
say.
No shade towards big
it
girls.
takes a man to love a big girl.
Yum yum.
Yum yum, right there. Hey, all right, right there. Here we go, Jordan. Say yum yum for me. One time, Jordan. Just say it, Jordan.
I'm not
Jordan,
saying it right now. I'm waiting another time.
We're talking about Becky right now.
I'm not. There ain't no yum yum going on.
He's not putting those two in the same category for some reason.
He's smarter than we are.
No,
I do got a decent question.
I know you look very smart, dude. I'll get him to say it one of these days.
Here's a good question.
Okay, can Jordan explain how he breaks down a new lake during practice? What things does he look for to start on, and how much does he actually fish in practice?
Man, I mean, we go all over the place, but typically a new lake, I'm looking at water clarity, I'm looking at water temperature and time of year, and then I'm thinking about just what the conditions of the lake are. Is the wind going to blow? Is it going to blow 20 out of the north, south, east, or west? What end of the lake can I fish? Just the basic stuff. And then I'm going to start usually, like, I'm going to Toledo Bend. It's the first tournament. I don't know anything. I don't have a waypoint out there. Most of these lakes I go to, you don't have a starting spot in practice. I'm going to start out deeper, 25 plus. And find places where those fish are, creek channels, just anywhere where there's a travel point for fish, especially in the spring. Like, you always hear about those high percentage areas. It's the truth. I mean, they use creek channels, they use bridges, they use ditches, and anything like that, like just to give you a starting place of a high percentage area to go look at, like where those fish are moving. That's where I'm going to look at first this time of year.
Right.
And, I spend a lot of time idling, but honestly, now I'm trying to figure out how much time I want to idle, how much time I'm going to spend on my live scope, my active target. And use that as basically idling, since you can go so fast and you're going to miss fish on side scan. There's no doubt about it. Like, they're suspended out there. You're not going to see that one fish. more side scan now. I'm feeling like it's more of a tool for hunting. The structure, and if there's a wad of them, you can see them. But I've never been one to see like 2-3 fish, turn around and throw on them and catch them on side scan. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach a new lake.
Okay,
Jordan. Real question. There's a guy named Stevie Mills. He wants to know how we like our egg. I thought that was a pretty cool question.
How we like our egg?
Yeah.
You like them runny, or you like them?
Yeah. Yeah. He just said, "How do you like your egg?" I guess that's important to him. I like mine runny.
Your scrambled eggs or your eggs and period, sunny side up.
Jordan, he might be referring to your biscuit reviews. Because you had me want to go to Waterslide and get a biscuit that time. I mean, I wanted to drive all the way over there just to get a biscuit.
I'm more of a scrambled egg guy, but I'll eat it. I'll eat it runny, fried. It don't matter what. Yeah, if you make me some eggs, I'm gonna eat them.
Yeah.
I don't know why in the hell we got that question.
That's weird.
That's a weird question. Now, you got one.
I had a question back to the one previously. Do you look at maps or Google Earth, or do you look at past results, tournament results on those lakes that you go to as well when you're breaking down a new lake?
I'm breaking down a new lake or a lake that I've not fished a whole lot, which most of them I haven't fished a lot. I'm definitely mapping is super. It's very important. I mean, I got Lowrance, 2 different types of maps. Now I'm trying to get as many maps as I can, and that's really important to know what the contours are looking like and anything that. Well, I mean, that's everything. I mean, looking for something that's maybe a little bit more subtle, but everybody's got the same maps and really detailed maps, but that's probably the most important for a new lake, and just knowing how to run around and idling and idle time, like if there's standing timber. So the maps are very, very important.
Yeah. All right. I see Tim is typing that right now as we go. So it's about halfway through the show. So we're going to do our Option USA question of the week. And now listen, this is Kevin's question. So if you guys have any problems with the answers being right, it is not me. It is all Kevin. So I'm going to let Kevin answer it and ask the question, and you get to watch the answers. And once you've done that, that's a 4-part, right?
There's 4 questions,
right,
4 answers.
So in the comments section, listen, this is for $50 off at optionusa.com to get your hands on some of this great fluoro. Now listen though, do not put one of the answers in the question. You got to have all 4 of them to win. So I know a lot of times you guys will pop one answer in and you're just giving the answer to everybody else. So Kevin, it's a good time for me to take a bathroom break. So I'm going to turn the show over to you. So it's all on you. So don't run everybody off. You good?
No.
You gonna do it though?
I'll do it.
You'll do it. All right, here we go.
All right. When did Gary Yamamoto form his custom baits? Question 1. When was the Senko put into production? Is question 2. How many pounds of salt is mixed with each gallon of plastic for making the Senko? And where did the name Senko come from, and who gave it that name?
I mean, people they're working hard on Google right now. They're Googling. They're Googling as fast as they can.
Oh, I'm sure the internet just locked up.
Cinco de Mayo. I don't know.
You don't know these answers?
I have no clue. I don't know. I'm gonna say the Cinco. I'm gonna say it was in.
You gotta have all 4 answers, gentlemen. Go ahead.
I wonder. I don't know. I'm gonna say 90. I'm gonna say 98. 98's when the Cinco came out. Am I right? I'm probably late.
You're off.
Did you? I mean, I was in the bathroom, but you heard the quality of the question this man asked.
That was like harder than any ACT
Like, seriously,
question I ever had.
You get your questions out of a comic book.
I know, and that's why people like.
All right,
you make people research.
Can I
that
answer the Cinco? Like when I haven't Googled, I'm just going to take a guess. 2004.
You're way off.
Way off.
Way off. I don't even know the right answer. So
92.
No.
Is he warmer or hotter?
He's
Or
warmer.
he was closer before.
He's closer. Oh, closer before. So
His
I didn't do
first
that.
answer was
Read the
closer.
question again. Everybody wants the question
You said
again.
I was way off. You said I was way off. How far is way off? A year?
Hell, listen, he don't
Way
know.
off.
Listen.
At my age, way off is a long time.
You were 6
There's
Uh,
no
months
two,
off.
Jordan. There's no two in there. Okay.
It was in June.
When did-
of
Only
86.
All right, here's the question again.
When did Gary Yamamoto form his custom baits
Right.
factory?
Yep.
All right. When was the Cinco put into production?
Yep.
How many pounds of salt is mixed with each gallon of plastic for making the Cinco? And where did the name Cinco come from, and who gave it that name?
So good luck to you guys. I'll see you next week for the answer on that. So
Look at Alex.
yeah, Alec, not even going to try this time. So you guys work on that. We're going to keep the conversation going. And
We could just do the last question if you want to do that.
okay, let's do that.
That's fine.
Okay, guys. So quit Googling all the other stuff.
Last question. Where did the name Cinco come from, and who gave it that name?
There you go. Hell, that's a damn two-parter.
It's a tough one, too.
All right. So by the end of the show, some of you guys will answer. Connor Hewitt, though, had it 87, 1.5 gallons in 1991. Is he even close? I didn't see the answers.
Andrew's got two of them right, and the third one on the salt, he's almost there.
Okay. So you guys look at Andrew Lasher's answer.
Yeah, Andrew's almost spot on.
Well, since he's there.
96, I said 98. What? That was way
Yep.
off.
Way off.
No, I said you were.
Which one of
Well,
y'all was in
Jordan's
the
like,
he
2000s?
was way off.
There's no
He's like,
two
"There's
in
no
it.
damn way.
I said 2004.
I don't know, Dylan. I don't know who in the hell.
It was
Roland
you
Martin
that
did not
said
give his
2000.
name. All right, you guys keep working. You keep working. So, hey,
All I got to answer is the last question.
yeah, we're gonna change that. I know that he did all that damn work, but just to answer the last question. All right, what was the last question again? Shit, I done forgot.
Who gave
Where did the
Cinco
name
its name?
Cinco come from, and who gave it that name?
Got to be like Japanese or something, right?
I don't know.
What the hell Cinco mean in Japanese?
That's part of the question.
There you go. So there you go. That was my hint. So Jordan, while they're looking up the answer to the impossible damn question, what event are you looking forward to most coming up this year?
Man, I'm looking forward to Smith Lake the most, and it's gonna be, and it may be my worst tournament of the year, but Alabama's been. I've never won a tournament here, a major tournament, but I've always done solid. But Smith's gonna be a really tough tournament into June, but I'm looking forward to that one the most.
Okay, all right. So we do have a correct answer
Let's hear
from
it.
Luke. All right, so it means flash, and his son gave the name Cinco to the thing.
That's he did.
All right, so Luke, you actually win the impossible question of the week. You got $50 off at optionusa.com. If you will reach out to me on Facebook at Messenger, just Danny Pruitt on Messenger, I will send you your code to get $50 off right there. So I see some other colorful names, and of course, the missus is watching. So your mama's watching?
Yeah.
Man, you got some damn good genes.
I do have good genes.
I mean, you're in your 70s, and your mama's watching a fishing podcast on a Thursday night.
And she got up at 5 o'clock this morning.
They don't build them like that anymore.
No, they don't.
So anyway, so
One of a kind.
all of you in the
Awesome.
Thornton family, we love you, despite Kevin over here, especially your hot wife. Right?
Thank you very much.
You got a hot wife.
As he's taking
I
a
tease
big
him that.
as he's taking a big old pull of red, man, I love it.
He,
I love it.
he is. Hey, listen, he brings me some every once in a while too. Yeah,
Big plug.
dude, seriously, I hadn't had no red man in forever. He brings me a whole pack. Just,
What are you dipping?
he's probably got a Zen in.
You got Zen in?
Yeah, I mean, nothing as cool as you. I'm pretty discouraged to even admit what I'm doing.
This is a man.
You're
Yeah,
you're a
you-
man, and this is a boy. Man,
Yeah. Listen, now, you can always. Jordan Lee called me a man.
Yeah.
That's something that yeah.
We were fishing practicing on
I'm
before
going to
the,
come meet you, Jordan.
before the tournament on
come
Lanier.
on.
And I thought it
will.
was like a water spot on the side of his. We were strapping the boat down. I thought it was like water on the side of his boat, and I just took and went to wipe it off real quick. It was Zen spit,
Zen spit.
and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You probably don't want to wipe anywhere
That
on my boat." It was
So-
solid.
So
Lord.
listen, I got a mouthful of Copenhagen right now,
It
and I
used to
see
be
you,
Copenhagen. It used to be
Yeah.
Copenhagen just dripping down my chin, but
yeah.
I changed. I mixed it up.
I'm just wondering why you got a spit bottle with a Zen.
You got to spit.
people. I don't know. I mean,
I don't
I'm
spit.
not-
Did you
I'm
know
not
that
much-
I don't
I'm
even
not
know how
much
it
of-
works.
You know,
I got you.
putting
I
that
got
in
you.
my body. I mean, I don't know. I can't do it. Some people
You
can
just
do it.
you just want the nicotine.
You won't have worms.
That's right. I got that. So
Dewormer.
dewormer like that. So Smith
Uh-huh.
Lake. For those of us in Georgia that don't know a lot about Smith Lake, maybe kind
don't
of
come.
give us a little description.
Just don't come. Y'all have way better over there. There's no need to drive to Smith Lake. I mean, there's not the description of it is. It's very, very deep. It's very steep. Yeah, you could be sitting in 100 foot of water and being right off the bank.
That sounds like Carter's.
It does sound like Carter's.
Yeah,
There's
you ever
not
fish?
there's not a lot of brush piles in it. There's no standing brush piles in Smith. Like fish do not get around. People have sunk cane and tried sinking suspended brush piles, thinking, man, this is going to be the deal. They don't get in it. For whatever reason, those fish do not get in standing brush piles or anything like that. And they suspend, they suspend a lot around the points and stuff, but
Has it got bluebacks in it?
not many. And that's the interesting, weird, it used to. So some guys illegally stocked Smith with blueback herring in about 2013 or 2012, and we're bringing them from y'all's lakes to here, and it exploded. I mean, Smith was off the chain. It had been terrible, for a long time. I mean, and those spots got big. I mean, 2014. I mean, they were crushing top water, schooling everywhere, big spots. I mean, they grew quick. And there was a couple of years there that were just great. But I think what has happened is the herring have got smarter and they have went deeper because there's 200-foot deep, depths on Smith. And they're getting off those points and up on the bank, and they're getting out there really, really deep and hiding from, the stripe and you just don't catch them like you used to. So, a lot of fish eat shad, and it's there is still bluebacks in there, and you'll see them spit up bluebacks, but it's not anything like what y'all have. And, the size fish are just not. I mean, you can still catch good limits of fish locals will bring in, but not, 17, 18's
Right.
a lot. I mean, you're going to usually win with that.
With that.
In the winter time.
That sounds like Carter's. That sounds so much like Carter's.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start off with both of you. I'll start off with Kaz on this one. Spinning rod or bait caster? What are you more comfortable with?
I mean, I'm comfortable. I love fighting a fish a lot better on a spinning rod. When it gets close to it depends on the bait. But I mean, when it gets close to the boat, a fish gets close to the boat and I'm having to really play it around, I feel like I don't feel like I'm going to lose it as much on a spinning rod on a shaky head right beside the boat as I do a current. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot more forgiving. I mean, you're fighting a fish on a light swim bait on a bait caster close to the boat. I'd rather have it on a spinning rod.
Okay.
But, no crazy preference there. I've always liked fishing with spinning rods. Loose drag, I feel like if a fish wants to make a run, he can. And
yeah.
It's easier to wear one out on a spinning rod.
What about you, Jordan?
I mean, I both, but finesse stuff, spinning reels, spinning rods, jig head, everything like that. I mean, I have my spinning rod baits and I have my bait caster baits, but you're not going to see me out there jerking a jerk bait with a spinning rod.
Right. I got you.
Nothing crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Ask Jordan about a high school hammer fisher. Connor Hewitt asked that question. Ask you about a high school hammer fisher. So do you know a local up and coming high school guy there?
Yeah, Fisher. Yeah, I know a young kid named Fisher is a really, really good fisherman, and man, there's so many good young fishermen now. It's totally different than when I was coming up. I mean, seems like everybody's good now, and it's crazy.
How old are you? How old are you?
I think I just turned 33.
33. Hell, and he's like, it's changed so much since he's come up. I mean, you and I.
Both my boys are older than him.
Yeah, no, both your kids are older than Jordan. So Dylan's question.
Yeah,
Do you
that's a
see
great
that? Is that a good question? I don't know.
You want me to pull it up or not?
Sure.
Pull it over. I
really
don't know if this is
We'll let it
controversy or whatever it is. So you guys can
y'all read
answer.
it.
What
See
is
what you
y'all's
think.
thoughts on polygraphing in bass fishing? Watched the Bilge podcast with the former MLF polygrapher and found it pretty interesting. So Jordan, you got any thoughts on that? I did not watch that
I haven't
episode
seen
yet.
it either.
Yeah. So our polygraph examiner, he's not, or it was, I think he's not, he wasn't doing it last year. But he was hardcore to say the least. I mean, you get random polygraphed at Major League Fishing. I'm assuming it's the same way at Bassmaster, but the polygraphs are always going to be, man, it's a touchy subject because I feel like you have to enforce the rules, and I just don't think in either organization, I don't think they have ever been really, really enforced when it comes to, we're always, the biggest thing in fishing that anybody professional level you're talking about is the number one rule that you hear about is not, hooking up your kill switch or, we've seen people hooking them outside the mouth, but it's the information rule.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one to enforce, and it's the hardest thing to enforce because number one, let's say he's your top angler on Bassmaster, and maybe he did get a little help, and let's say the polygraph, it's kind of wishy-washy, but it's hard to say if he passed or failed, or maybe he did fail it. Is Bassmaster really going to go out on a limb and what are they going to do? Are they going to fine them? Are they going to? They're not going to DQ them because it's never been done. I mean,
right.
Since I've been fishing, I know of one person that got DQ'd from a tournament for info, and it was, it was not. I think he got done wrong. I don't think he got info. Not like that. It was during the event. He had made a top 12. He got polygraphed, and I think he got DQ'd from the tournament. It was Luke Lawson at Wheeler one year, and I just didn't agree with it because I knew the buddy he was talking to. He's one of my friends, and he doesn't know anything about the lake. So, since that's the only one at Bassmaster that I can remember for that rule, and that's the biggest one. And I don't know what the podcast is about, but I mean, I'm sure y'all could listen to it and find out. But I know it has to do with our former polygraph examiner and maybe MLF turning a shoulder on maybe a few, polygraph that maybe people that some guys maybe failed, but they may not have. I mean, who really knows? Only he knows. But yeah, it's going to always be. Man, it's always going to be a subject that comes up if people really care to talk about it, but it's hard to enforce.
Yeah, so kind of like what you're saying, it's like somebody with the stature of I know he retired, but just say KVD. If he were to fail something like that, you're looking at one of the biggest names in the sport. There might give him a little more leeway than, say, a rookie, something like that. That's kind of,
And they've given fines out. I mean, I know that for sure for different things, but my problem I have with any of it is when guys do something. Well, definitely in Major League Fishing, when guys did stuff on camera that was not legal, and did not get enforced right there, and DQ'd from the tournament. That's where the only issues that I had when things were obvious. And at Bassmaster, man, if you did something illegal on camera at that, and it didn't get DQ'd from it, I mean, it would be a problem. But I think both organizations, if it's always been an uphill battle when it comes to polygraph and the information rule. Everything else can be pretty much, enforced to a point, but that's a tough one. And you're at some point these organizations have got to say either, hey, we're going to put a foot down, or we're going to give ourselves probably a black eye, because you throw something like that out on social media nowadays. Hey, so and so's DQ'd from this tournament for getting information. I mean, that's going to be that's going to be tough for them. But
it doesn't take long for the news to get out these days.
And I've always wanted to say this on a podcast. I've never really had the opportunity to, but one thing we're really missing, though, is the integrity part of it. Guys have to hold themselves accountable, and man, like, it's not hard. Guys want to catch them so bad now that they'll go to the any limit they can to go around the rule. Or, hey, if they hear about a lake, that's coming to, there's like, if there was a tournament coming to Smith, and, they knew that there was a tournament coming there, well, they're trying to figure out a way around the rule instead of just being like, look, let's play fair. Everybody's on the same playing field, and let's just go out there and fish and see what happens. I mean, I think guys just want to catch them too bad now. And most guys are honest, and they really are, and they're going to do the right thing. But there's always exceptions to the rule.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you took the opportunity to say that. I mean, what do you think about it, Cass?
Have
you taken a polygraph before?
I've never had to take one.
You've never had
they
to
do
take
have them like at college levels, but it's definitely not to the level that, he's talking about. I mean, rules are rules, and they're enforced. And I agree with what he's saying. Like, people bend the rules to the max before you cross the line.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. And I mean, if we really wanted to nitpick, and I mean, everybody's in their careers had the opportunity to call somebody out for breaking a rule, like a kill switch, or wearing your life jacket a half second before your motor trunk or something like that. And I mean, I personally just don't have it in me to mess with somebody's day or ruin somebody's tournament unless they're genuinely doing something that is blatantly breaking the rules. And I mean, the whole fishing world has seen dishonest acts the last few years, and I think he knows it better than anybody.
Right.
So I'm not even going to try to compare to that response.
Yeah,
so.
and just think about the two, and I hate to even bring them, those two walleye guys, that was stuffing all. I mean,
But I mean, that blackballed all of fishing. I mean, I was at gas stations in the middle of anywhere at 1:00 in the morning.
Yes.
You pull in to get gas, and somebody says, "You know them guys?"
Yeah, are you stuffing your fish and all that? Yeah.
Oh, it's people. I mean, I've
got weights and fish.
Yeah, seriously. Like, we went to we had a little club tournament. Yeah, we had club tournament up at Chickamauga. We pull into a damn gas station just like that, and the guy walks out, and he probably doesn't even fish.
Yeah,
y'all got weights in the fish and all that. I'm like, dude, listen. But to your point though, seriously though, Jordan, to your point though, with social media these days, the second something happens, that shit's worldwide.
Oh yeah,
like it don't take no time for it to just blow like that. So I get what you're saying, but the integrity issue, and when you said integrity, Kevin's over here beside me. I'm listening. He's like, it's lacking in a lot of things, even down on the local electric only. I mean, down to the smallest tournaments.
Yeah, and I mean, people talk about the negatives to all this stuff
always
time,
more,
but in all reality, fishing's probably one of the most. I'm not going to say one of the most honest, but you won't find better people as a whole.
I agree.
And I mean, you can't. And I mean, there's a lot of bads. There's also a lot of goods. And
there's a lot of good.
There's a lot of good.
Absolutely. Amber, is this your question? It is. All right. So we do got a question for you from the gallery right here. She goes, what's the best advice you've ever received in your career? She asked like a serious question.
No shake.
No, yeah.
No shake.
What'd you say?
I said no shake.
Yeah.
What is no shake?
No shake.
Yeah, one of the Japanese anglers he's talking about, he was in my boat and he was teaching me, this new technique, the hover strolling deal. And I'm sitting over there just shaking the flakes off. He's like, Jordan, no shake. You're shaking.
No shake.
So that's what Kaz is talking about. But
Gotcha.
The best advice that I've received, well, there's been zero fishermen give me advice. I promise you. I'm
Right.
that they're calling up, man, Jordan, you need to rig your bait this way to catch more fish. They're trying to do the opposite, but man, I would probably say when it comes to fishing, I don't know. I mean, that's a deep question. I mean, I think the best advice I've told myself is when it comes to what I do, is to keep relationships at a peak, and the companies that I work with, keep those relationships tight, and the people that take care of you take care of them. And I think that can relate to any job and anybody. I mean, relationships are everything. And I've been told that my whole life. I mean, you keep what you got, and you keep the people happy, and, you keep those relationships tight. So that's probably
good
the
advice.
best advice I've got. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually got one smart person. She might be the only smart person in the crowd tonight, but that's a deep question right there.
I would think so. That was a good quality.
It was good quality. What's the next question we got coming up there? We got some. Give us a tip on how to catch spots suspended in timber. Kaz, you want to start that one? You fish Lanier a lot.
I mean, mostly just forward-facing sonar is probably the biggest tip nowadays. I mean, if you've got access to it, but beforehand, from my understanding, the timber on Lanier is cut to everywhere the water is pretty much 35 feet and deeper.
Yeah.
And so this time of year, fish, it's like anything grass that was one thing I used to struggle with a lot, and it's still hard, but I try to think of it as like grass or points or anything. Grass, fish hang on in the points of the grass or the high spots in the grass or the holes, and there'll be a gap in the timber that fish get in, or a point or an edge, and fish always relate to like an edge is like an ambush point. So throughout the lake, put yourself in an area that has some bass, and Lanier's got bass everywhere, but find that timber edge and go along and try to find any irregularities, and find if they're up high in the water column, you can roll a swim bait over them and catch fish. There's a lot of presentations, and then dragging something on the bottom's good
through the timber.
Yeah, but they'll relate to those trees good, year round. But any irregularity is what you got to key in on.
All right, Jordan, you fish so many different lakes, throughout your career and all that. How many of those lakes does timber come into play? Kind of like similar like Lanier, where they just went through at a certain level and cut it off.
Yeah, like Toledo Bend we're going to, gosh, that's all that lake is. I mean, those lakes in East Texas, they're full of timber, but it's a different kind. I mean, it's definitely a different kind of timber. I mean, there's trees, and a lot of those times those fish, it's kind of figuring out like that question. I mean, figuring out what I'm gonna have to figure out the next couple of events is, these fish are going to be in the bottom of the timber. They're going to be around those root systems, which Fork is known for that. I caught them on a couple years ago on a jig, around those root systems, and broke off a million jigs. But are they suspended up high where you're jerk baiting them? So that's kind of the biggest key in fishing the timber, and trying to tell what's on the bottom too. Like, hey, are you fishing points with timber? You're fishing the creek channels. Like, that's a big deal too. So yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, it just depends what kind of phase, I guess, the fish are in.
Gotcha. Got a question right here from Michael Temples. What does Jordan think about the way MLF is going? Do they have a future?
Yeah, I think they got a future. I mean, they MLF, they own FLW, and they bought FLW and now they own it. So they have all the different leagues. I think people don't think about that. They think of the Bass Pro Tour and they see that, but they got a ton. Toyota Series, BFLs, all that. So they got a lot going on. But man, I hope they do, honestly, because competition is I feel like definitely needed. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing one. I wouldn't mind seeing one league at some point, because I feel like there's too many quote unquote pro anglers, and I think there needs to be definitely a lessened amount. I mean, it was better when it was Bassmaster and FLW, and when I fished Bassmaster, it was easier when you made it there to get sponsorships. So it was just better all around. I mean, and we thought, and I'm one of the reasons why, not one of the reasons, but I was the initial person to go to MLF and try something totally different. But I think they got a lot of great things going on. Honestly, I really do. But there's some things that I just don't agree with as well.
Yeah.
So
they
do have a future.
Yeah, I got you. Go up 2 questions from Rob Russell. How do you like your new electric rig? Did you get an electric rig, either one of you two?
Yeah.
Did you get one?
Yeah.
You did?
Well, I have aluminum flat bottom boat. Okay. And I got it pretty much a makeover. I got it pimped out, to say the least. You can look at the video. It's on Tiny Boat Nation, but I have a couple lakes around here with a 25 horsepower limit, and I grew up fishing lakes, and I still fish them pretty regularly, but I've always just had just your old typical John boat. I mean, something decent, it's got carpet in it and stuff, but this is
right.
It's next level. But Tiny Boat Nation, yeah, I kind of splurged on myself. I don't buy my things much, but I got it pimped out, and it's pretty cool. So
I got you. I tell you what, I got a key to one of the best electric only reservoirs around here. So maybe one time you bring it over, and I'll take you after hours. Like I can get you in there with just me and you be the only one on the lake.
All right, facts,
so
deal.
We'll have to do that. So would Kaz fish Chattooga right now, like what Paul Driscoll said last week, to catch 20 pounds if you were on Chattooga? And meaning throwing a shad chatterbait in the back of feeder creeks and then trying for the blinkers up shallow.
I guess just how would you catch 20 pounds on Chattooga?
How would you catch 20 pounds on Chattooga?
Well, Chattooga's, I think of it as a lot of like a shallow power fishing lake. Lanier's good for shallow finesse fishing and things like that. And Chattooga's as well, but we don't have near the rock that Lanier does.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of clay. So it's a lot of subtle, pea gravel rock or like actual contours that make the difference. It's a lot flatter. So for me, if I was to go out there right now, I would have a power switch tied on. That's been catching them good. I would have a Nico rig with some kind of shag color worm on it. And a money badger's been catching them. That Berkeley crankbait. The dime's good too, but I like the money badger for the spots. It's the 7-foot diver, 6.75. Any crawl pattern, but just throw it and burn it as quick as you can around the bank. And I don't like to fish it really slow, but the last tournament we had 19 pounds, I think, and we came in like third, but we caught them all on a crankbait all day long.
Crankbaiting.
Yeah. And any rocky point where the wind's blowing, just run as many of them as you can. And Chattooga, I'll take my live scope and I'll sit on a point, and Chattooga has a lot of like snot grass up shallow where you can't really throw a crankbait. You get it caught up in that stuff too much. I'll sit not parallel with the bank, but I'll use my live scope to line up a depth range. I know about how deep that crankbait will dive. Like a 6.75 money badger will run about 8 or 9 feet on a good long cast. So I'll throw it out there, in 8 to 10 feet and wind it just above the bottom and try to watch it on my graph and move it to where, whatever structure's around. If I'm coming up on a big rock or on a stick or something, I'll speed it up and kill it and just I fish it on live scope a lot of the times, and a lot of the times I don't, but that would be the best way I know to catch 20 pounds.
Okay.
Dirty or clear, either way.
All right, I got you. Jordan, you're going to jump into a big kayak trail event this year.
Well, I fished one last year. I put on one with Native Watercraft at Gunnersville and got smoked. I had a lot of fun though. I was getting bit on a frog, and I was around them too. I mean, I was around some good stuff, and I could not land any of them. I lost like almost every one of them, and I don't think I'm used to setting a hook like that, but that was a lot of fun. They gave away a lot of cool prizes, and I hope they do it again this year around here. So that was fun.
I got a very serious question right here from Caleb Kelly. The comment below him says this is the best question of the night. So this is a big one. Do you think forward-facing sonar ruined co-angler fishing in MLF or bass?
That is a solid question.
That's a solid question.
Yeah, I mean,
talking about the co-angler specifically.
Talking about the co-anglers, and I mean, I think it was tough. I mean, when guys were offshore before, I mean, I fished as a co-angler. Fishing as a co-angler is hard. It really. You're there almost as to learn. Like when I fished as a co-angler, I fished on the FLW tour, and you're there to learn. You're not. If you catch something, that's great, but you're trying to learn something to take when you get to go out. If you ever do, or you have a boat, or just to learn something, and that's what I used it as when I fished as a co-angler, because it was tough when I went before forward facing sonar, but now, it's even, it's even worse probably.
Right.
Depending on what lake you're on. I mean, you go to Gunnersville in the fall, you're not gonna have anybody. Not many guys are gonna be out there scoping. You're gonna have a few, but it's definitely changed it, I would say, and it's not super enjoyable if guys are chasing down fish and you're in the back of the boat.
Yeah. What do you think about the like from a viewer standpoint, a spectator watching it on TV? I hear a lot of people talk about that all the time, that they love watching pros fish, but watching guys stare down, at a screen is not the most enjoyable. I've heard both sides of the argument.
My whole thing was, and I told MLF years ago, and tried to get him to understand it, and Bassmaster as well. But if I was the organization, this is what I would do.
Okay.
As good as technology is now, and you've seen you've seen glimpses of it, and there's no reason they can't get all the companies on board to where, our screens on, let's say, the final day or the third day are streamed on live TV, or you streamed on the live coverage, and somehow, the anglers get a cut of it, and then they get the rest. It could be some type of subscription that, hey, you want to watch so-and-so anglers, they're out here, fishing all day, and to see their screen on there, it can be done. We've seen it. We've seen glimpses of it. Bassmaster did it with Humminbird, where at the Classic they had, Gussie's screen on there because it was Humminbird, but Humminbird's a major sponsor, so you run into conflict of Lowrance and Garmin, like they can't have both of those, which I think they're making a mistake there, because they're missing out on all the viewership that people would be like, man, this is the greatest thing ever, because we're learning. You have to, and that's the hardest thing, is like, people tune in to learn. They want to learn, like, where the guys are fishing, why they're fishing there, what they're looking at. And I think it could solve all the problems, because you're learning something to make you a better angler. And that's what it's about. I mean, and man, the companies MLF and Bass are both missing out. I mean, they really are. Like, I cannot believe, I'm just shocked that they don't have that put in place. I mean, this is what their job is, like, to make a product that people want to watch, and they're not doing it good enough. I mean,
I agree with that. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's entertainment.
It's entertainment. And some guys may say, well, I don't want to see, exactly what I'm doing, but it's bigger than that. Guys got to open up their minds, and the companies do too, MLF and Bass, to say, hey, this is about viewership, and if we want to keep these fans around, like, nobody wants to turn on and see a get back of a guy's back and him up there not talking and just shaking a little minnow over some fish that you can't even see, and you're out in the middle of the lake. Like, it would that could solve it all. And whoever is the first, organization to do that is gonna, man, they're gonna make headway. They're gonna be the internet's gonna go not crazy, but people are gonna really like watching it. So,
yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
It's
go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. What do you think about that, Kaz? As far as I assume you still want to be a pro one day.
Yeah, I'd like to give it a try.
That's what you're doing
at some point.
And at the end of the day, it's kind of like baseball. Yeah, you are a player, but I watch it to be entertained by watching you play. And that's the same reason people watch fishing, those that do. So what do you think about like what he's saying as far as to get the entertainment value back into watching professional fishing on TV?
I don't think there's a way. You have to. I mean, for it to stay alive and for people to stay engaged and for everybody to feel like they are learning and, on the same page as everybody, I feel like it's a must.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's such a small step, for everybody. I mean, everybody has the technology. I mean, look what we can do. I mean, there's no excuse to not have it on there where you can see it at all times. And, people would learn so much. And I think it would be, the whole forward facing sonar, debacle that everybody's, I think you could bring people together a lot more through it. And, like you said, whatever organization does it first is going to be big. And the electronics companies have to go along with it too. It'd be a great way for them to showcase what they've got. You'd sell double the product. And I mean, it's just, it's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I miss, fishing was different back then, but I used to look forward to watching Bassmaster shows, 45 minutes, come on every, Saturday or Sunday morning.
Right.
And it would, this is back 2018 and before, they'd have shows that you could actually sit down and watch. And that was, super entertaining. I learned so much from all that. And now, it's hard to keep up with everything. That's the main question I get. And, for avid fishermen that are tied in and understand what's going on and are just living it every day, it's not as hard to keep up with it. But for the average guy that's working all the time, it's hard to keep up and even know when one of these big major events is going on half the time. And and for them to be able to really be in the know and keep up with all the trends. And a lot of, the older guys feel like they're getting left behind, not being able to be out on the water as much as some of us and being able to be involved with forward facing sonar and everything. It helped everybody learn and get back on the same learning curve. And I think it'd just be a good thing for the sport as a whole.
I think so too. And again, I think the entertainment value is the most important thing because that's where your money is.
100%.
You get more money, more spot. And let's just face it, forward facing sonar is not going anywhere.
No.
I mean, there's too much money involved. Do you agree?
It's here.
Yeah,
it's here. Let's see. I had a good question. Scratch Fishing, he's put this a couple times. How many hours per week does Jordan work to remain successful? To be successful, how much time do you have to put in a given week as a pro fisherman?
Not as much as you'd think. I mean, I think it's different for different guys. I mean, I have not. This is the least that I fished all fall, but I did have a major issue happen when I was out of town with my house. It got destroyed, and I didn't get to fish at all, really, all fall and all winter because I've been busy with that, but. Man, fishing, you have to keep up. You have to be in the know, and I can feel it when I'm kind of, out of the, I guess, I call it being dialed in. Like I don't feel like really dialed in right now. But I mean, it takes me a handful of times going out, getting things right, and figuring out a bite, getting on some good fish. To get going just on one lake, not really going all over the place. But I don't fish a whole lot. I mean, I said average maybe 1 to 2 times per week. It's about the same as your everyday fisherman or weekend warrior, I would say. So I don't put as much time. And now that I have a family, and more important now for me though is just staying in tune, but the social media and the YouTube and all that, like that all takes time to do. So
yeah, it does.
that's really the bulk of it, and I have kind of slacked on that a little bit as well last few months, but keeping up with that's a full-time job. Now that's where the job is
yes, it is
making sure that you post when you're supposed to post, and you do what you're supposed to do for 8-9 companies. Like that's work, and keeping them like in my mind, like I know what I need to do, week to week. That's the work. Like when I go fishing, man, that's fun for me. Like I just I need to perform when the tournaments comes, and and that's just how it is. I mean, that's just the beast.
Oh, I get it. Kaz, this question, we're going to start with you and then we'll go to Jordan. 25 pounds in the, say, the 5-fish format, or 100 pounds in the MLF format. Which one's more impressive to you?
Oh, that's insane. There's very few days in your life where you can ever even think about catching 100 pounds of bass in a day. And I mean, that's people used to talk trash about the every fish count stuff, but I mean, there's not many days you can go catch 25 fish that weigh 2 pounds or more. I mean, we have those 2-pound tournaments at Hammond's. I mean, it's a 2-pounder is not a slouch,
Right.
So, more impressive. 25 pounds makes you feel good at the end of the day. At the end of a day of fun fishing, I'd be like, oh, I don't think I caught 100 pounds. I think I caught 25 pounds, 25-pound sack in my best 5. That's cool. But both, I mean, 100 pounds is a milestone. I mean, that is ridiculous. In a day of fishing, I don't care how many fish you have. If you have a minimum of 2 pounds and you catch 100 pounds worth of 2-pounders, there's no telling how many fish you caught that were less than 2 pounds that you didn't even get to score. I mean, that's just an unreal day on the water.
Okay, I got you. What about you, Jordan?
Those are both really, really well. I mean, really, really well. Both of those are impressive. I can honestly say I think I've caught more 25-pound limits than I have. I know for a fact I've caught more 25-pound limits than I have caught over 100 fish in tournaments. I don't know, but maybe one or 2 days I caught over 100 pounds, if that. I don't even know if I did, and I can tell you I caught over 25, a handful of times. I think more over 100 is probably more impressive, honestly.
Okay, that's a good answer.
I think it's harder to do because I haven't done it much, and I've caught, like I said, 25 plus.
All right.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so got a couple quick questions here. Should there be a limit on transducers per boat? Jordan's thoughts. Paul Driscoll wants to know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's going to be up to the organizations. I put 2 more on the back of my boat this year, but I don't know how much it's going to help. I think some tournaments it could help, but I don't think overall it's going to be like a crazy changer as you would think. But I think 1 transducer live scope per boat. That's what I would do, but I don't care either way. I mean, if you got 6 of them off, listen, it's a lot to look at. I mean, it's a lot to decipher. If you're that smart to see the forward view and the perspective, and then whatever else, like, dude, you can have at it. I mean, it's hard to keep up with it all.
I got you. Got a question. Does fishing on a different circuit? Oh, you had another question? Which one? Or did you bring another one up?
No,
I'm gonna hit Ron Swinford's question right there. Does fishing on a different circuit than your brother make it easier to pull for him to get a win this year?
Man, I always pull for my brother to get a win. I would love nothing more to see Matt win a major event. But no, it doesn't make it. I'd still pull for him if I'm fishing, and if he was in the running, and I wasn't right there, obviously I want him to win. So
right.
I'm excited. I'll be excited when that day comes, and
I got you.
It's hard to win a major tournament.
Absolutely. We had a lot of great questions tonight. Kaz, I want to make sure I give you an opportunity because before we end this thing, because you are a guide, I want you to be able to shout out your service if anybody's looking to get up on Chateau to catch some fish. So let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so my phone number is 828-644-4392, and email is KazAnderson7402@gmail.com. But just my website, fishchateau.com, there's a link to all my contact information. You can hit me up that way.
Okay,
but
awesome.
I'm full-time now, and I'm excited. I love doing it. This is my 6th year. It's hard to believe.
I know,
my
dude.
6th year guiding. It's crazy, and it's amazing. It's the best thing I've ever done for my fishing and just learning how to deal with people and I've had a lot of amazing days on the water with a lot of cool people. So
I got you. That's awesome. All right, Jordan, anybody you need to shout out before we end this podcast?
We'll just shout out Slick Johnson.
Yeah, he's the man.
He's my number one. He's not my sponsor, but I think we're gonna fish this weekend, so I'm gonna have to keep him in check.
You tell him that fat guy from Fish North Georgia, he still owes me a hat. I told him to send me a hat.
He knew I was coming on today, and he's like, "Man, them are good dudes. Them are good dudes."
All right, so before I go though, I still got one bit of unfinished business.
All right, let's hear it.
You know what you got to say.
You want me to say yum yum?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Listen, Jordan. Hey, listen. I appreciate Kaz. I appreciate you. You've been on several times. You're always you are always welcome here. So thank you for coming and then for inviting your friend there. And Jordan, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you got a lot going on to spend some time with us. I hope it was a enjoyable experience, and maybe we can get you back. Yeah, maybe we can check back with you, through the season at some point and get you back on and just see how things are going.
Absolutely, I'd love to be back on.
All right, well, good, and slap old Slick in the butt for me when you see him this weekend.
I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I don't take it like that.
Hey, listen,
I'll tell him you said that. I'll tell him you said to slap him in the butt.
Yeah, no yum yum, just slap him in the butt, man. Just slap him in the butt. There you go. All right, Jordan, I appreciate it. And guys, hey, listen, another great episode with 2 fantastic guests. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you're going out on the water this weekend, make sure you stay safe. Take care of yourself. Enjoy your time with what God's given us with fishing. Enjoy the time outdoors. And we will see you next week with another live well. So you guys take it easy. We appreciate you. All right.
Good job.
Hey, Jordan, serious on it.